Yes. Now try. I got your stuff. Okay, are you going to be sitting, Lord? Yes. Okay. Okay, so I want the chair. Without updating the board. Okay, I have a lot to focus on. I know, I love you. Talk to you tomorrow, okay? Or after this. Whatever. No puppies. Good to see you. I've been watching. A lot of guys been watching. Let's see. Skidding around.
Like in what are you doing? I do like the camera. Yeah, I do take it. Very good. I like it a lot. Each time I take a picture, but I don't really put it on. It's for me.
I have a friend here with me on a walker. Oh wait, I think I just found him a seat. I was trying to see if I could find him a seat. Thanks. Well, somebody gave it to him. That's how nice people are.
That's great.
So we're broadcasting live on the and we're recording some quality and also in case it goes down for some reason. Well, it's not even syncing, it's just stacking. It's been stacking for a long time. We have like potential amazing data, and then it collapses. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a little different. Yeah, something like that. It's actually more. People who have no idea what they're doing. And everybody's doing this well, but everybody's finding each other. It's very weird. Thanks for telling me about the event.
Congratulations. I've been watching all years of the Mexican presentations. I've been watching for 7 years. Oh, yeah.
Yes, I have. I've been doing it while you're out. You're going to buy electricity?
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pan down. Can you guys move over that way? Now it goes on the top right.
Well, that's what I have my group here. See what happens.
Very good. But that would be wonderful if we get it from that side.
That is looks like our group is growing.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to Team Mom. I meant to Team Mom.
Green Dom is not in the
I
rotation.
know, he already told me. I know. But it's not in the, it's in the other one. It's in the other one.
What do you mean?
It's on the other, where it shows all of them. It's on those.
But it wasn't in rotation earlier.
I don't know how. Unless when I added the other ones, I must have been like trying to. With Joji having me change 2 logos last minute, I can't pretend.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jackie. You can take my We're getting ready to start. If you could please take your seats.
Excuse me! She wants your attention!
Hey guys!
I know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Chapman, and I'd like to welcome you to the Desert Hot Springs Healthy Cities Initiative's first medical marijuana educational forum. I'm a little bit nervous, so I'm going to just give you what our format is, what we're doing here tonight, and then I'm going to hand it over to our speakers. In December, I was having a conversation with our mayor, and we were talking about healthy cities and kind of how I came to Desert Hot Springs, and he asked me to chair the Desert Hot Springs Healthy Cities Initiative Committee. And so we announced that we were going to have a committee, and we announced a meeting, and some people showed up, and we had about 30 people at our first meeting, and we discussed some plans for Desert Hot Springs regarding the Healthy Cities Initiative. And we came up with a 6-point plan that this meeting tonight is one of those points. We're going to go through our logos. And there I am. Yay! So a little bit about me. I came to Desert Hot Springs 3.5 years ago. I came to open a wellness retreat. I'm a holistic nutritionist. And when I got to Desert Hot Springs, I found beauty, and I found quiet and peace and all these wonderful things. And what I was things like a farmer's market and a community garden and different programs. And so I started talking to a lot of people, and like I said, the mayor asked me to lead his Healthy Cities Initiative Committee. And again, our 6-point plan, first is community nutrition. So again, we're working on a farmer's market, we're working on community gardens, we are working with God's Kitchen to increase the amount of food that we offer to our citizens in need. We will be working on a backpack program where we're supporting Food Now. So we've got a whole component on nutrition. We've got a Community in Motion program. So we're going to be highlighting our local businesses that are health and wellness related. We're going to be working on some different trails, hiking, and trying to get our community more active. We're going to be bringing in some health services. So we've got different Judy is actually helping us with quite a few of those projects. We've got Scott Delatorre, who's the chair of that committee. And actually, let me just say, Rakita Grant is the chair of the Community in Motion committee. She's not here today. And if we can flip to our next point, our next education forums, which this is the first of hopefully many community education forums. Our next component is our community resources and community support. And so we'll be working to let our community know what's going on within the community as far as events, services, and different community activities. So we've got actually Pastor Paul Miller and Joanne Helms and Sharon McDonald who are helping with that committee. And so we're getting more information out to our citizens. We are also working on a community mental health services. And so we're Cheryl Hunter, who works for Safe House of the Desert, has been helping us with those services. We're also partnering with Borrego Health and some other organizations to get more services. So those are our 6 points that we're going to be working on. We also have, if we can flip to the next slide, 2 upcoming events that the committee is involved in is the Family Fun Festival at God's Kitchen on May 15th. And if you have questions, you can see Dee Johnson about that. And then we are also, through Safe House of the Desert, we'll have a mental health fair on May 21st that will be at the Wellness Center, and so we'll have vendors with that. Some long-term plans that we have through the Healthy Cities Initiative are the farmers market that I spoke about. We'll be doing a safe and healthy Halloween, which will have a 5K. So we're trying to get, again, activity and safe activities for our children. And then hopefully by the end of the year, we will have a mayor's triathlon. And I think that will bring in, again, revenue to our city. It will bring in a healthy aspect that will bring in, for words here right now, but it will utilize the Wellness Center, it'll utilize the Furby pool, and it will bring people into our community. So those are our 6 points. And then for today's panel, we have a variety of people. We have Tom Miller from Greenleaf Wellness, representing our dispensaries. We have Lanny Swardlow, who is a registered nurse and has been in the medical marijuana advocacy for over 20 years, and he's going to give us some information that a lot of us don't have. So I'm really excited that Lanny's here. We have Jason Alsasser, who is one of our new businesses coming into town. He is opening up a cultivation site, and so he'll be able to give you some information about the upcoming business regarding cultivation. We were supposed to have our chief of police here, but he has a strategic planning meeting that his staff is at, so he won't be able to be here, but he sent a message to us. And then we have Martine Madonna, who is our city manager, who will be able to answer questions regarding the city, future of the businesses, and then we have our mayor, who will be able to answer any other questions. We also have Nathan from the city and additional city staff, and so if there's questions, we'll be able to get those answered for you. At the end of the presentations of our speakers, we'll have an open question and answer where you'll be able to ask your questions. And so that's what we're doing. And I thank you for being here. And I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, who is Tom Miller.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and the audience. My name is Tom Miller, and we just opened up Greenleaf Wellness at the corner of Buena Vista and Palm. And I see a number of our patients in the audience, so that's good too. The reason I got into the medical marijuana industry was after I retired from the restaurant business. I was in the restaurant business for about 35 years. And I traveled a little bit and got bored, and decided I wanted to work a little bit more, and thought about what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And this is hard for me. I was on the board of directors for Homestead Hospice in Long Beach. And during that time, I had gone out and bought street pot because there were no dispensaries around at that time. And of course, I'd still be in jail today if I was ever caught from that. But I saw what it did to the boys in the hospice home that were dying. And it really helped their appetites and their pain and suffering. And I was glad to be such a part of that. During the 2.5 years that I was on the board of directors there, I had 22 boys die in my arms from AIDS. So that memory has been with me ever since, and I really wanted to bring back something to the community and to do some kind of position of something that I could help the community and also help people that are suffering from AIDS and whatever we can do. And that's how I got in the medical marijuana business. It's taken 2.5 years to get to this place from where we first talked to the city about that. And it's been a long journey, but it's been well worth it. And we at Greenleaf Wellness, we give free meds out to cancer patients and vets with PTSD. Today we announced, thank you. Thank you. Today we announced that we were also starting to give free meds out to HIV/AIDS patients and Ebola. We'll be going further as that happens. Thank you. The announcements that came out when we first opened up was on TV about this. And it went out to the public, and I started getting calls from Michigan and Florida and Tennessee, having no idea where these patients had got the information from. But the more that we did, they were calling to offer their support in what we were doing. So it's really good to see and hear from those people around the country of what we're doing, not just Greenleaf Wellness, but everybody in this business, to see that we're starting to be able to help because of the government's laws changing a little bit. And I know Lenny's going to talk later about going to lobbying in Sacramento. Those things are all important. If you believe in this cause, those are things that you want to do, and to help us all out, because that will make a big, big difference to us. On our reviews, a lot on Weedmaps, a lot of the patients have come through and talked about compassion. And one little review I would like to tell you about actually made me cry when I first got it, but then I realized what it was. And the couple had been married for about 40 years, and the husband was having trouble with PTSD and all the pain and suffering that he was going through. And so we gave her the meds, and she went home and took care of her husband. And about 3 or 4 days later, she called me back, and she said, "Tom, I've never had a happier night since my wedding night." So it says a lot about what medical marijuana can do for you. So I did leave some papers in the back that have our Tier 3 forms for anyone to fill out that has any of those conditions that I mentioned. If they're gone and you want to pick one up, please call me at Greenleaf Wellness, and I'll set you an appointment up to take care of this. And that's about all. Thank you so much.
Next up, we have Lanny Swardlow.
Good evening. It's wonderful to see so many people here. A week ago, we were just panicking whether anybody's going to show up or not. My name's Lanny Swardlow. I'm a registered nurse. I'm with the Marijuana Anti-Prohibition Project, a medical marijuana patient support group and law reform organization. And our very first meeting was in December of 1999 in a small store called the Hemp Store here on Palm Drive in Desert Hot Springs. And we've grown since then. We now have 3 meetings every month in Joshua Tree, Palm Springs, and in Riverside. Okay, let's talk about, first I got a question. How many people here believe what the government tells you? Not very many. Not very many. So my question is, why do you believe all the lies and the truths and the distortions that the government's been telling you over 70 years about marijuana? It's lies, lies, and lies. And it's all done because of power and money. And we're saying we're going to put an end to it. We're going to stop it. We're going to bring marijuana back to the community like it was before 1937, when you could go into any corner drugstore and you could buy all kinds of marijuana preparation. You could buy the leaves, you could buy the buds, you could buy joints, you could buy bombs, you could buy ointments, you can buy suppositories. You can't do that now. We want it, once again, where you can go to the drugstore and buy suppositories of marijuana. Hey, no, don't be against listen, I'm a nurse. Let me tell you, suppositories are a wonderful way to take medicine. I want to talk to you about a couple studies that have come out about the health benefits of cannabis that you probably don't know about. One of the major things, and I've got a paper back there, you're welcome to take, it's about cancer. Cancer is one of the leading causes of death in this country. Marijuana things out there to prevent it. There was a study done in 2009, which you probably never. It was a study on the cell head and neck cancer. This is one of the most common forms of cancer. You can get it usually from smoking cigarettes or drinking. You can get it without doing those things. You're just far more likely to get squamous cell neck cancer if you smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. So they wanted to find out what was the effect of smoking marijuana. And they did the study, and what they found out was that people who smoke marijuana long-term, 10 to 20 years, moderate to heavy use, had a significantly less likelihood of developing that form of cancer smoking. I say 5 or 10%. Greater. How many people saw this in the meeting? I can assure you, 1%, it would have been on the front page story of every newspaper, it would have been the leading story in every broadcast media. But because it showed something positive about marijuana, you never heard a thing about it. The media is cowed by the government and by the cops who are behind all the lies that you've been told all these last 70 years. The fact is, there's all kinds of studies out there that shows cannabis use prevents cancer. There is it shows it for brain, for lymphomas, for breast cancer, for lung cancer, all kinds of cancer. People who use marijuana consistently over long term have a less likelihood of developing cancer than people who don't. If you have a family history of cancer, if you have a mother, a father, a brother, a sister who died of cancer, and you are not using cannabis, you are hasting the day when this genetic predisposition to developing cancer will strike you. And if you use cannabis, you more likely will die of something else besides cancer. Another study, pain relief. One of the major uses for cannabis is for pain relief. Many people say there's a study that just came out of the University of Michigan where they interviewed like 400 some odd people who are using cannabis, and they say it is effective or even more effective than all the opioid medications they are taking. And opioid medications are horrid stuff. We have 19,000 people a year die in the United States from opioid medications. There was a study that came out, which you probably heard nothing about. States that have medical marijuana laws, where people have access to marijuana to use for pain, have a 25% lower opioid overdose death rate than states that do not have medical marijuana laws. That is, and did anybody hear about that? Good, that got out a little more publicity. But that's the fact, people. Cannabis is a wonderful, wonderful thing to use for pain. Now, I'm not saying stop using your opioid medications, because cannabis is, you've got to wean yourself off those opioids. And what you do, if you are taking Vicodin, if you're taking Percocet, if you're taking Dilaudid, what you do is you take it like this. The doctor tells you these are PRN medications. That means you take as needed. So, for example, Vicodin. It says you take one Vicodin every 4 hours as needed for pain. If after 4 hours you don't have any pain, you don't take the Vicodin until you have pain again. So you use cannabis. And what happens, and most people find what happens, is after 4 hours, they don't have any pain. And after 8 hours, they don't have any pain. And after 12 hours, but they keep using marijuana. But they don't have to take the Vicodin, they don't have to take the Percocet. Most people who are taking 4, 5, 6 Vicodin a day or Percocet a day are able to cut it down to 1 or 2 a day. And a lot of people are able to get off it altogether. And those medications have horrid side effects. I don't have to tell you about it. You know it every time you went to the bathroom. And there's so many things else that cannabis is good for depression. We talked about our veterans and PTSD. They get out of they come back from Iraq, they come back from Afghanistan. 1/3 of all our vets have post-traumatic stress syndrome. They go to the VA, and what does the VA give them? They give them Zoloft, they give them Abilify, they give them all these things with all those horrible side effects instead of cannabis. And most people, most vets are going to find, and there's a lot of vets out there who are doing it, they find that all they need to treat their post-traumatic stress disorder is cannabis. It is the most effective thing out there. Cannabis is wonderful insomnia. Are you having trouble getting to sleep at night? Have a brownie before you go to bed. You don't need Ambien, you don't need Nunestra. Cannabis is going to work for you. You know, before it was made illegal, a thing called tincture cannabis. It's a liquid. It was found in almost every medicine cabinet in the United States. And when grandma couldn't get to sleep, she'd be pacing the floor, she'd go to the medicine cabinet, get out some tincture cannabis, put a couple drops under her tongue, and then fall back in bed with grandpa and get a good night's sleep. Now you have to take Ambien and Nunestra. That's great for the pharmaceutical companies. It ain't great for your health. Now, I want to talk about another thing, because Desert Hot Springs is really Well, they're really setting the pace for marijuana. You know, interesting. Yeah, thank you. You know, it's an interesting story. Back in 2008, I and a couple others from the Marijuana Appropriation Project approached the Palm Springs City Council, and we asked them, would you pass an ordinance to allow medical marijuana collectors to operate? And the city of Palm Springs says, yes, we will. And I sat on the task force for a year and a half with the city police chief, council members, and this kind of stuff. They drafted an ordinance, they opened up the first ones, and for many, many years, they were the only city that had it. In that same year, in 2008, we came to the city of Desert Hot Springs, and we asked them to do the same thing that Palm Springs did. And at advice of their city attorney and advice of their chief of police, they turned us down. They turned us down. If Desert Hot Springs had allowed collectors to operate and tax them, you wouldn't be bankrupt right now like you are. So don't listen to your chief of police. No. No, this guy's a good guy. As I understand it. Okay, you know, thing is, I want to talk about one thing that because people have this thing, they see these dispensaries operating. Desert Hot Springs have, I guess, 9 of them, and they see these young males going to them perfectly healthy, and they say, why are they going? Why are they going? Well, let me tell you, I'm a nurse. I've worked in hospitals. I don't think I worked a single shift in which I wasn't taking care of at least one patient because of their use of alcohol. I never had in a hospital bed. No nurse has ever had in a hospital bed, ever, a patient in a hospital bed because of use of marijuana. Absolutely none. And the fact is that for a lot of people, if they have access to local, affordable, reliable access to marijuana, they will use that in place of alcohol. And that is a good thing. And let me tell you a study that I'm sure nobody ever heard of either. This was a study done in Montana by 2 professors of economics. And they wanted to find out what happens to a state that allows medical marijuana to be distributed versus states that don't. They chose Montana because it's surrounded by states that didn't. And they did, I believe it was a 2-year study. And during that period of time, the use of marijuana in Montana increased by 23%. The states around Montana, about 5 to 8%. So they want to know, where did this increase occur? What portion of, was it generally spread throughout the population, specific populations? And they found out that a large percentage of that increase was 18 to 35-year-old males. 18 to 35 years old. Well, how did this affect this group of people, 18 to 35-year-old males? And they couldn't find much of anything, but then they discovered an interesting statistic that during the same period of time, beer sales decreased by 5.5%. Now, what is the favorite alcoholic beverage choice of 18 to 35-year-old males? Beer. So they said, okay, so here we have males, these groups consuming more marijuana and less beer. What is the effect of that on this group and on the community? And they looked around and they couldn't find anything until they discovered a very interesting statistic. During that same period of time, alcohol-related traffic fatalities decreased by 9%. 9%. And they said, well, what could else? They looked around. What else could have caused it? And there was nothing else that they could find that could account for a 9% reduction in traffic-related, alcohol-related traffic fatalities, except 18 to 35 males were consuming more marijuana and less alcohol. And you know what? That's a good thing. You know, we got to stop this idea that, oh my gosh, you know, it's all medical, it's all medical. No, it's not all medical. Marijuana, you know, we have a group I call the Brownie Mary Democratic Club. This is a group I formed with work within the Democratic Party to protect medical marijuana patients and to promote marijuana legalization. We've been very successful in the party to do that. The party even has a plank in their platform now calling for marijuana legalization. But I want to tell you about Brownie Mary. Brownie Mary, we named it after her for a couple of reasons. One, she, in her 70s, started baking marijuana-infused brownies and taking them to AIDS patients in the San Francisco hospital. So it's very important for the health of these people. A third of the AIDS patients find marijuana to be important for their lifestyle, if you keep them alive. But you know what, Brownie Mary, it's still kind of sound kind of fun, you know? And that is, marijuana is fun. It's fun. People enjoy it. It's really good for you. It can treat pain, it can treat cancer, it can treat depression, it can treat sleeplessness. You know the problem with marijuana is, you know what the big problem with marijuana is that it makes you feel good while you're doing it. If marijuana made you feel awful, like other medications, it would be legal. But because it makes you feel good, it's illegal. So, I want to thank Treasurer Hopkins for finally wising up. It took them 8 years, but they have finally wised up. They've got an intelligent, forward-thinking city council, an intelligent, forward-thinking mayor that recognizes that cannabis is not going to be detrimental to the community. We've seen that. Look at Colorado. That's legalizing. What's the big problem in Colorado? The biggest problem is trying to figure out where to spend the $72 million they're getting in taxes each year. That's their biggest problem. So I'm going to conclude by one last thing. I'm going to ask, you know, I have some things back there at the table. If you'd like to get on our email list and find out, well, we have meetings, like we say, in Palm Springs, not too far from you. We hope you come to get on the email list just to find out about the meetings. I do have these things here. I am, like I said, I'm in Brownie Mary Democratic Club. I am running for the to go to the national convention as a Bernie Sanders delegate. And I could use your vote Sunday, May 1st in Palm Springs. If you're a Democrat, please come and vote for me. I got these things here. It's at 2 in the afternoon. I can pick them up. I'll give them to you. I would love to go to the city of brotherly love to advocate for marijuana at the Democratic National Convention. And one last thing to get you to come over to the table and look at the literature and sign up. I've got these Mary Jane candies there. Now, Mary Jane candy is an old line candy. It's been around for half a century or more than that. And go ahead and take them. Go ahead and eat them. They're not going to get you high, but they will rot your teeth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lanny. You were amazing. Can you get one more hand for Lanny? He's been doing incredible things for this industry for a long time, so he's paid his dues, and I'm glad he's here with us. Coming up next is, I guess, my new partner in crime, or non-crime, however you want to say it. This is Jason Alsasser. He is, his company is CV Farm. He is also the head of the Coachella Valley Cultivators Association. He is a fellow Rotary. We're going to be involved in the future Desert Hospitals as well. Thank you, Jason.
Anyway, good evening. Lanny's a little bit of a tough act to follow. He gets excited, and he's fun to watch. Myself, I'm going to give you a little background about who I am. I'm a local. I've lived in Yucca Valley, California since 1984. Graduated Yucca Valley High School, raised my family, and had a successful real estate business and construction business in Yucca Valley up until about 2007. And in 2007, the economy fell apart. We had the mortgage crisis, and I found myself in a position where I was going bankrupt. And it's kind of a funny story. I had a contract, my company had a contract with Bank of America, and we did their foreclosures, and I went out to this property that had been foreclosed upon, and the guy was growing marijuana. And I told him, I said, listen, you know, I'm not the cops, and if you need something, what can I do? And he said, well, I need 30 days before you take possession of this house. And so we got him his 30 days, and needless to say, he was grateful. He came in and he said, you know, let's utilize one of your properties and grow some cannabis. And I said, no. I've got a grandkid on the way. This is the last thing I need. I'm not going to do that, you know, but good luck with whatever you want to do. And he came into my office like every 3 or 4 days. And I kept looking at my checkbook, and I kept looking about all the money I was losing, and I said, well, let me talk to an attorney. So I talked to an attorney, and I found that it could be done legally in the gray market. And so I started growing. I started cultivating back in 2007, 2008. And it's been a very interesting road. My introduction into the cannabis industry started out from necessity. I was going broke, and I was accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and I desperately did not want to lose it. And over the years, I found out that, you know, this is a plant that heals. It's a plant that was put here by the universe, by God, and it's something that has just wonderful, miraculous healing qualities, and I've seen it happen time and time and time again. And so being involved in the business aspect of it, it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too, to be able to be involved in a new industry that is good karma. You know, it's not bad karma. What we do here, we're not threatening the children. We're not threatening, you know, public safety, and it's exciting to work in this community with the mayor and the city manager and the staff to work hand in hand in a project like this. So with that being said, I want to get into just some broad strokes of what's going on with the cultivation in Desert Hot Springs. Desert Hot Springs is allowing large-scale commercial cultivation, and they have made every effort to make sure that it's done correctly, the proper infrastructure for the town. They want these projects to be architecturally significant. They want them to add value to the community. And I'm going to touch on three topics real quickly. The first is public safety. We get a lot of questions about, well, if you're going to be growing millions of dollars of cannabis in Desert Hot Springs, how are you going to keep that safe? And that's a very good question. And it's going to be done through a number of different ways. There's a detailed security plan that has to be in place that we hopefully are going to have hardwired into the police department, so the local police department can have access to our cameras at any time. All the facilities are going to be open with tubular steel, so there's no walls that they can't, so if somebody did try to come on the property, they can be easily accessed. And then each one of these facilities has to provide 24-hour, 365-day-a-year security, armed security, because there is going to be multi-million dollars worth of product on the premises, and we want to keep it safe, and the community wants to keep it safe. So as far as public safety, the city has went into great detail and to make sure that all of these projects are secure and that the people running these projects have a very detailed security plan. The second topic I'm going to talk about is employment. With these large-scale cultivation projects, they're going to be bringing jobs, not only revenue, but they're going to be bringing jobs. Like we have a super Walmart coming here to Desert Hot Springs. It's going to employ 250 people, is it? 300 people? Right. So the tax revenue that the super Walmart is bringing in is about $250,000 to the city a year, something like that. That's great. And that's what my project is going to bring in to the city of Desert Hot Springs. Some of these larger projects are going to bring in far, far more than that. But the other thing that they're bringing in is employment. So by bringing in the employment, the city and the cultivators want to make sure that we can keep as much employment local to the city of Desert Hot Springs as we can. Excellent. You're going to have to pass an extensive background check, and we're going to have to implement some type of certification program. The people that are going to be employed in these facilities are going to have to be skilled workers. This is not labor. It's labor and it's hard work, but it's also skilled work. So we're looking forward into trying to find ways to implement a certification program. So when these very large cultivation projects kick into gear, that they can hire locally. And also when the construction begins, Even the trades that are going to be here in town building these facilities, we want to make sure and try to keep as many of the jobs local as we can. We have some of the owners of the cultivation projects here this evening, and we're pretty much all in agreement that, yeah, we want to try to keep as many jobs local as we can. So that's the second topic I want to discuss. The third one, which I'm not going to talk about too much, I'm going to leave it to staff here, is the revenue. You know, Desert Hot Springs does not have a huge budget. They have about a $14 million, $14.5 million budget, and they don't have a lot of surplus. They have, it's kind of like a household where, you know, you're barely paying your bills, and at the end of the month, you're totally broke. So with the cannabis coming in and the influx of revenue to the city's going to have a lot of money to do things with. It's really cool because, you know, the city is making sure and affording every effort that the money is going to be well spent. You know, we want to light the city up. We need street lights, we need social programs, we need a lot of different stuff. And the money that these projects are going to bring in is going to help with that. The last thing I was going to touch on here is the association that we put together, the Coachella Valley Cultivators Association. What it is, and it's very loosely formed right now. Myself, I guess, and my partner Joji, we're kind of the acting directors. But we want to help and we want to advocate with the industry and the people that are involved in this industry locally on different issues. There's power issues. Some of these very large projects that are coming in, they're going to take an extreme amount of power, and it's going to take a lot. There's going to be substations that are going to have to be built. We're going to have to look at new technology. We're going to have to look at ways to mitigate the power through wind energy or solar fields or something, you know. And then what I touched on before is we want to tackle the certification program and a training program. We want to form something within the community to where the people here that can pass the background check can go through a certification program. They can get a certification in trimming the product. They can get a certification in propagation, where they can take the cuttings off the mother plants and they can, you know, go through each aspect of the cultivation. So we're looking forward to doing that as an association. And then I don't exactly know how we're going to do it, but we have to come up with something on how we're going to bank. Because as it stands right now, banking is still very tricky. There's going to be a lot of money that's going to be produced in this area, and that's a lot of cash. So it would be nice to be able to put it in a bank. But with all that being said, please feel free. I think after the mayor and the city manager, we're going to leave it open to questions, and we'd really like to have the people in the audience, the cultivators that are here, get a little interactive with the questions that could come up. So that's it. Thank you very much.
That was amazing. And now, because the chief could not be here, he did do a videotape message for us. So if we can play the chief's message.
Afternoon. I apologize that I am not able to attend the event. Myself and my staff actually are doing strategic planning, and so that's why we have no representation. However, I will be available. If you have any questions, you can contact me at the telephone number at the bottom of this screen. And I wanted to address a topic of concern to a number of our citizens, and that is safety at the dispensaries. There's been a number of questions as to the policy or practice at dispensaries. And the guidelines or safety guidelines that are put up are actually part of the process for our applicants to obtain a license. In cultivation facilities, we actually are working with them regarding security and our requirements for the security at the cultivation centers, and I'm every confidence that those will be some of the most secure facilities in our city.
office. You can find him on Facebook. He's awesome that way. Next up, we have, and I just want to take a second and point out the people around the room. So, but to separate the people, we have our dispensaries on this side. So we've got Andrew from Brown Dog, and we've got Lanny's Table. We've got Dr. Ironside, who is our local doctor who can write a recommendation for you. And then we've got Nicole from Pearl Organic. So, and then we've got our cultivators and Casey will introduce at the end. Coming up next, we have our city manager, Martin Magana.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I apologize for how warm it is in here. But when you put 100 people with 98-degree body temperature, you tend to create a greenhouse effect. I think we can cultivate it here right now. We won't go there. For those of you that went to the State of the City, you're going to hear some of the points I'm going to talk about tonight, so bear with me because you'll hear it again. For those of you that are new, I think it's important for you to hear this stuff because we're excited to have these businesses here in our city. And when I became city manager, I asked the council to support me in legalizing marijuana here. They directed me to go work with the city attorney and research it, and we brought back information. I'd even gone and taken 2 trips to Colorado on my own to go visit family, but in addition to that, I did my research. So we brought back information to the council, and they were very supportive as we went through the process. And I got to say, it was unanimous amongst the council to move forward with this kind of a program. So, I thank the council for supporting us on this. I think it's a great opportunity. I saw an opportunity to help patients. As you heard the many stories from Lanny and from Jason. It was an opportunity to do something good for this community that is disadvantaged and underserved community, that we can turn the face around in this community to a positive growth and just make it a city that's thriving economically and healthy. And I saw an opportunity to where not only could we benefit patients, but we could also help the city in terms of revenues. You've heard, we're not financially, we're okay right now, but there's still a lot of needs that we need to fill. We need parks. Our infrastructure is failing. We need streetlights. We need, as you know, in our community, we're missing a lot of sidewalks everywhere, a lot of infrastructure that we're lacking. We just want to really turn the city around and give it an opportunity that all the other cities have. And so in my presentation that I made to the State of the City and some of the challenges that we have out there, of course, I've just mentioned some of these are infrastructure, the costs of the infrastructure and the timing of the installation of all this infrastructure in our industrial area to address the needs. The council has given me authority to hire a project manager, and I've been coordinating this with the water district because in the research that we've done, there's some areas that lack sewer, but there's areas that have sewer. There's other areas that lack water, other areas have water. There's areas that, again, in that general area, we lack sidewalks and curbs and gutters, our streets and street lights and whatnot. And so the council has authorized me to research, and then to date I've interviewed 4 people to hire a project manager that's going to be dedicated solely to just dealing with how we're going to pay for all this infrastructure, gathering and all the cultivators together out in the industrial area, figuring out how we're going to establish a community facilities district, for example, and to help fund this for the long term. Who's going to benefit from it, what's everyone's fair cost should be, and the timing of all that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping to have somebody on board here real soon, within the next couple of weeks. And so I'm looking forward to that. So you'll be seeing probably another staff member joining us and joining our team to get that done. But along those challenges, there's always, like I said, there's opportunities, and we've heard Jason talk about it a little bit. Anytime that you have projects, you create a demand for jobs, you create a demand for housing, And we're hoping that these employers that live here, that work here also live here. It'll raise our housing stock. It will raise our housing values, property values. It'll generate the revenues that we need, that we can invest that back into the community, into our parks, into our lights, into our public buildings and services and programs that we have for this underserved community, and also create some economic stability. I mean, that's what we all want. We just want to reach a point where we're economically stable, that people want to come here. They see a clean city, the perceptions change to, wow, I want to be part of Desert Hot Springs. And, it just allows room for us to grow more. I can't tell you how many people that I've met with. I see a lot of familiar faces here that I've met with regarding either dispensaries or cultivation projects here. And I continue to welcome everybody. It has really turned, I don't even know if there's any industrial land available anymore from anybody that wants to even cultivate out there. It's all been purchased or in some form of design, some form of process, and I continue to meet with them. And like I said, in the state of the city, I'm going to make it my goal. I promise you that I will do whatever I can in my power with the support of the city council to make this a success, because your success is our success. And this is a very serious business. And like we've told the council, the city attorney and I, is that if it's regulated properly, correctly, and we're communicating with the state and trying, following all their rules, there's no reason why this can't be successful. So I invite you to join us and support us in our efforts. And the council, thank you for taking this opportunity and taking a leap of faith, if you will. I think it's going to pay off. So we'll be available if you have any questions later. Thank you very much.
Right now, we have an overview of where the cultivation sites are, and that if you have questions about that, we can answer those as well. It's a little hard to see from here. Are we going to finish that up, Martine?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
That's okay.
So on these slides, this slide's been updated from the state of the city. So we now have a total of 19 cultivation projects. The last time I presented this to the state of the city, there was 8 approved. There are now 11 approved. And there was 8 in process, and there's still another 8. There was 3 that went into the approved stage, but there's 3 more applications that were submitted, so there's still 8 in process. And of the 11 approved, that totals 1.7, a little over 1.7 million square feet of cultivation. And with the additional 8 that we're processing right now, it totals about almost 100,000 square feet. So that gives you an idea of when I tell you this is a serious business. So these are some of the elevations and some of the renderings of the facilities that have been approved out there. Some of the ones that we're also working with. So if you've been out to our industrial area, you know what it looks like now. And if you see these buildings, it's going to just turn the face around of this community in the industrial area. Wow. Brand new buildings. Thank you. Thank you.
And coming up, last but not least, who makes all the things happen in our city is our mayor, Scott.
Joe, did you hear that? I make everything happen. No, I like to thank my city council because they've been very, very proactive in this. I was fortunate enough to be elected in 2007 and been elected 4 times. This last time as mayor. Before this election, I sat on a very proactive city council and looking at options. We weren't bankrupt, but we were close to it. I think at one point it is a true statement to say that there was $400 in our bank account, which isn't good for a city. And that's how desperate it was. Our city council started looking at many, many options, and the dispensaries was one of them that we thought could be up and running very quickly and revenue could be produced. I'll tell you a quick story. 2007, there's a gentleman opens a business here, cuts a hole in the door and starts handing product out of it. We shut it down right away. Say, no way, we're not letting dispensaries in Desert Hot Springs with a moratorium on it. And I'm a right center kind of guy when it comes to politics. So I'm listening to my conservatives. I am right center. That's my left wing guy over there. And so 4 years later, when the city starts going through a fiscal crisis, these doors, your mind starts to turn as a council member. What can you do to bring revenue in? First, the feds aren't going to help us. Second, the state's not going to help us. And third, the county's not going to help us because they're all in the same positions. They're hurting too because the downturn in 2007 with the housing market killed everything. It literally did. Then the governor in the state of California takes away a redevelopment agency. And that was a lot of the funds we were using to enhance and beautify our cities. So we were stuck. And so we started looking at dispensaries. We had very proactive city council members looking at the cultivation that was going on in Colorado, and our city attorney, city manager, staff members got together and really made a proposal that sounded good. We still, I don't think, really understood the fallout from it. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I want to introduce a few members here because these people were very proactive on this. My Mayor Pro Tem, Joe McKee, in the back there. Councilmember Russell Betts. Councilmember Yvonne Parks. And I don't see Councilmember Zavala, Eniel Zavala here tonight. I think she had another engagement. But give her a hand because she's been part of this. So with that said, we've been moving forward since 2014 when we put an initiative on the ballot to see if the taxpayers would allow us to tax the sale of marijuana at 10% and then tax the square footage of cultivation. They overwhelmingly said yes at 70%. So this is very fortunate for our community. Still, I don't think we realized how much revenue could be really brought in. I started to really listen to, as we started to develop the ordinances on medical marijuana, I started looking at the individuals coming up and speaking at this podium to us. And it's not what you picture in your mind. Now, I'm going to take you back. I'm almost 45 years old. So you go back to when I was 15, 16 years old, and my friends are, I'm going to do a Bill Clinton here. I never inhaled. But my friends out there doing it, and you're picturing, kids out there smoking pot, doing that kind of thing, the surfer do, whatever. But you're having professionals like Andrew walk up in his jacket and speak on the benefits of medical marijuana. You're seeing Nicole from Green Gold show up, and I'm going, these people look professional. And then we start seeing cultivators show up, and these guys are showing up in three-piece suits, Mercedes and BMWs, and they're really looking at investment in the community. And you're starting to think, wow, this isn't just the stereotype of what you really thought it was. It really has become a business. And then I started to look into Colorado and Washington states and what they're doing. My brother lives in Colorado, and I told him to drive by, check out a business for me. And he did. He said he didn't go in. I don't know if that's true or not. But no, he said in the business districts where they were actually enhancing the business districts that they were in, and little to no crime, according to the police chief. He's a volunteer firefighter there, and he talked to their police chief in their small city, and there was little to no crime. We've had that impact on our community. A lot of people were worried about it, but we've had little to no impact on our crime when it comes to our dispensaries. Now we start to get into cultivation. And we start looking at what you saw today on that map. If you have a chance to really look at that map, and if you're not from Desert Hot Springs, you take the road Little Bronco and you drive down that. And you picture all what you see with all those red, green, and different colored shades of where they're at in development. Picture that in about 10 years. If everybody stopped today, no one else is going to build, and 1.7 million square feet are going to be built. How much money is that? Just on the $10, let's not even talk about the $25. That's $17 million that Desert Hot Springs can be taken in. Our budget is $14 million. What can we do with $17 extra million? Your costs, your infrastructure, your businesses will have roads that aren't broken, your sidewalks that you're not tripping over. The things that we can do for our youth and the parks that we can build is just the beginning. I just only can hope that I can do a couple terms to help lead this effort, because I know I'm not going to be here for 10 more years. No, Joe. But what we can do right now is set our city up, and the city councils ahead of us for the future is so important. So I'm thrilled to think of what we can do with the money that's going to come in. People have a lot of different opinions about medical marijuana, and I think you would find in this room some people that are very over here and very over here, whatever that means. But you get the point. You have people in the middle. You have people think that it does do something good for medical patients, and you have people that think, oh, you're crazy, until they run into somebody like I did. I grew up not really understanding what medical marijuana did, and I had a very close friend whose mom helped. I went to a private school, and his mom was helping us when we teach us how to play softball and other things when I was growing up. And she came down with cancer. And her last few days, or I say few months, she finally decided to try medical marijuana, and it kept her out of the pain that she was in for years. And I saw it firsthand. So I am a believer. I have not had anybody close to me use it, but I'm a believer from what I saw with that. So with that, I want to thank a few more people. The Healthy Cities Initiative was put together by a lot of different mayors throughout the years, and they've all focused on healthy parts of the community and tried to build a plan around that. I met with a group of people, first at the Chamber of Commerce office, approximately 3 months ago. And we put together a group of people, about 20, and started brainstorming what we're going to do. Came up with 6 points, as was mentioned at the beginning of this. And one of the points was talking about the medical marijuana industry. We thought it was very important that was a piece of our Healthy Cities initiatives, knowing that we're obviously in this industry. But another piece of the initiatives is education. So next month, we're going to have a meeting on diabetes, and I'm sure all of you are going to be here for that. I know you're not. This was something we knew would bring out the people and really bring the awareness to what we're trying to do as a community. This is a piece of our healthy water, our healthy lifestyles, and what we can do for the future. I want to thank Jackie, Jason, Michael Berg, our Chamber of Commerce, and I know I'm going to miss so many more people, our staff. There's so many people trying to do something, our city council, to make this what it should be and what it can be. And today we talk about the what ifs and come back in a year and we're going to see where we're at. It's not going to be the what ifs anymore. It's actually going to be putting money in our coffers so that we won't go bankrupt, and putting programs on the streets, which is very, very important. A couple other quick comments, the fallout, which I always try. This is how I make a decision whenever an idea comes to me as a city council member, is I think of what I call the fallout, whether it's good or bad. And I have found nothing but good with the fallout that's going to come from this. Desert Hot Springs has 7.5% to 8% unemployment, depending on the time of year. If we are requiring 20% of the employees from the cultivators to be from Desert Hot Springs, we'll be under the national standards once the first 1 million square feet are built out. Our Chamber of Commerce is working closely with most of the cultivators to put job fairs together to make sure they're Desert Hot Springs residents. The 1 million square feet, which is the first development, Oxford Properties, which is the corner of Little Morongo and Dillon Road, his first phase is 100,000 square feet, but once built out to 1 million square feet, he's planning on employing up to 1,000 people. Just to put that in perspective, one development. They have to go to lunch. Where are they going to go? To the restaurants in Desert Hot Springs.
Dylan's.
They're going to go to Dylan's Burgers. They'll go to the parking lot. But if you walk into Dylan's Burgers today, you'll see about 4 or 5 tables filled during lunchtime, a couple people at the bar. But I guarantee you, once that first development's built and you got 100 people working that first 100,000 square feet, that place will be packed for lunch every day. People are going to want to move here and buy homes. When our council put a restriction that they pay good wages, which is I think starts out at $10 an hour, all of the cultivators laughed. They said, "Okay, we're going to start them off way more than that." But it was good that the council was proactive on that and put that in there. But they're going to pay really good wages, and what that's going to do is that's going to be fallout to us because people are going to buy homes. Again, we can't rely on the feds. We can't rely on who the next president of the United States is going to be. We can't rely on the next governor that California is going to be or what California is going to do. We can't rely on our county supervisors. But to rely on us. Right? And we have to make those opportunities. With that said, I could talk forever about my city. If anybody went to my State of the City, I had 94 slides. I know. I was excited. I was very excited. This has been a lifelong dream of mine. I was born and raised here in Desert Hot Springs, and I want to bring a positive message. A lot of times you get a message that's about the details and this, about that, but I really want to pump up Desert Hot Springs. This is the beginning. I've only been mayor for 4 months, but this is the beginning, working with a very proactive city council and partners in our community. Partners. And that's what I really wanted to reiterate to the people of Desert Hot Springs was we have partners. We have commissions with volunteers. We have volunteer committees such as the Healthy Cities Initiative. We have our partners in the chamber. We have our partners at the police department. We have our partners everywhere in Desert Hot Springs. They're trying to make a better place for people to live. I am sorry, there's 10% of those knuckleheads in our community doing stupid things. But our police chief's going to capture each and every one of them. And we're going to make it.
And post them on Facebook.
With that said, I know this group's not going to talk about anything outside this room, so I'm going to make this last little comment. I got a new slogan for Desert Hot Springs: hike, soak, and smoke in Desert Hot
Woo! Hike, soak, and smoke.
Slogan contest. We've got soak, smoke, and toke. We've got stay, play, and something else. I don't know. But we're definitely change the face of Desert Hot Springs. Like I said, I got here 3.5 years ago, and I bought a home, and I wanted to start a business, and I got discouraged. And I met a lot of people who said, don't give up. There's hope in Desert Hot Springs. Heather was very supportive. Dawn was very supportive. Bobby, Karen, Tim, Ivan, Brianna, Joanne, Anna. I could go around the room and tell you about the people who told me Desert Hot Springs has everything. We just have to come together as a community and make things happen. So I thank the mayor one more time, the city staff, all of our people, everybody who's come out to support the initiatives, everybody who's been involved in the committee, and everybody who loves Desert Hot Springs. Thank you, and I'm going to open up to questions and answers. If you have questions, please raise your hand. I'll come around with a mic for you. Okay. And the lady in the back.
Thank you. This question is for the mayor. Mayor, this question is about city design. I see that we have a concentrated cannabis cultivation corridor. And my question is there any thought about diluting that corridor, or is the intention always to keep the corridor pretty tight?
The current standards are that any cultivator must build in the industrial areas of Desert Hot Springs. There's 2 main industrial areas. Again, I talk about the fallout. We've looked at our dilapidated industrial areas with not a lot of business. You saw what you saw on the screen, which is going to enhance those areas with infrastructure, roads, sewer, power, sidewalks, beautiful buildings. One of the other things I talked about in the fallout is that we have companies coming to Desert Hot Springs looking to produce equipment for these companies, possible labs to come and test the product. So there's a lot of other fallout when it comes to that. But I believe it's going to enhance the area. I hope that answers your question. It is concentrated in that one area because that's in the general. One of the things the city council will be doing is going through a general plan update, and the general plan. And at that time we'll take public comments, and then if there's another area that opens up the possibilities, the city council will then debate that and possibly open up more area. Right now, the concentrated area is down Little Morongo, Dillon Road, and Indian Avenue.
My name is Rick Tyson. We have a situation where our utility companies came in and talked to us and revealed an extreme delay in providing power and services to cultivators. There are several cultivators that I'm associated with who are thinking of pulling out, and I get calls every day from, I'm getting them from Asia, I'm getting them from Europe, asking about how feasible, we're happy you passed this law, but how feasible is it to get it done in Desert Hot Springs? It occurred to me that we have a power plant here in Desert Hot Springs. And Southern California Edison has said, well, yeah, we'll get you power. It'll take 3 to 9 years, which just astounded the public. And I'm wondering, can we approach CPV Sentinel and ask for some help?
You can approach anybody and ask for all the help you want. The question is, will they give it to you? And CPV has a contract, CPV has a contract with Southern California Edison for a certain amount of power. So as of now, they've said they cannot because of their contracts with them. But the city council is being very proactive. Alibaba, where you at? Back there, he is one of the individuals that have brought a company to Desert Hot Springs to talk about alternative power energies. There's another company that's been looking at Joe McKee. I don't know where he went, but he has brought a company also that's looking at alternative energies. We know the first phases, Martin, you can tell me if I'm correct, have enough power. But when they get into the second and third phases, it's going to be a problem. It definitely is. Just to put it in perspective, the 1 million square foot, they need 50 megawatts of power. That's a lot of power. They can put their first phases together, then from that point on, there's going to be issues. But they can put a substation on site and have their own power within a certain period of time. We are being as proactive as we can and having the project manager hired. We're looking at having these power issues solved within the next 12 months and have a plan for that. Technology changes every day. So if a bulb is using this much power today, can it use this much power tomorrow? And that's what I believe will happen. You want to add anything to that?
Yes, the question is for the.
Let me say something. Going back to the earlier question about, right now the council allowed it just in the industrial area and they didn't put a limit on cultivation. As we continue to work with the state and hear what the state's going to do, I would imagine that we would be bringing back some ordinance back to the council for amendment. So it's not to say that they're just locked into. I've had some questions. What can we allow a dispensary in the cultivation area? And right now, the answer is no. City council restricted it just to cultivation only. It's going to be interesting how other cities throughout the state unfold and what they do based on the state has approved 17 different licenses that you can get that's associated with medical marijuana cultivation. So we're keeping an eye on it. We'll have our attorneys also keep an eye on it. And we'll be keeping the council apprised of potential changes that are going to be happening and see if they want to change it and open it up to other types of licenses. Right now, it's just cultivation.
Add one more comment on the power. We're the leaders in the state of California on this issue. We're building faster than anybody, and we have the ordinances of the taxation to back it up. Other cities have the same issue. So if we have power issues, they have power issues. Cadito City, Coachella that are moving in Coachella Valley, they're going to be able to open smaller grows as we are. But when it comes to larger grows like Adelanto and other areas, the desert areas that are trying to build these large warehouses, they're going to have the exact same issues. We need to work together as colleagues when it comes to this and try to find a solution all around.
Hi, Judy Shea, Desert Hot Springs Community Task Force. I have a question for you, and that is, I went to the veterans meetings, okay? And basically, while we were having the meetings, they were telling me that, and I want you to verify yes or no, whether or not if a veteran who does not have a prescription goes out to the VA hospital and is tested and is found using, that he loses his medical benefits. Now, is that true or not true?
You put a proviso in there, not with a doctor's recommendation. And if you don't have a doctor's recommendation, you can get not thrown in jail if you have less than out, you can wind up paying fines. So, but I guess you could lose your benefits because there's no reason why a person shouldn't get a doctor's recommendation. They're very easy to get. They're not expensive to get. And there's a bill in Congress right now which would allow VA doctors to write recommendations for marijuana. What's so sad about the VA hospitals is that some of the doctors in the pain management clinics will still toss vets out who are using marijuana to treat the pain, and that's really a sad situation. If I can make one quick comment, maybe you might want to comment on this thing about the growing and the electrical things. You know, I've got a solution to that problem. Use greenhouses and use natural sunlight instead of artificial light, and you won't have to worry about it.
So on that note, we do have 2 developments that are going to be greenhouse roofs, but they still need a certain amount of power. So those greenhouse types will help. But we also have to, you know, when it comes to fallout, the negative fallout is you got to make sure that they're not open and the air is filtered, because you don't want your residents to be smelling the odors that could come out of the product. So we've got to look at both sides of things.
I just want to say something. She made the comment about the veterans losing their benefits. I don't think they lose their benefits. I think the doctor can boot their butts out, but they're not going to lose those benefits. Those benefits are due these men. My husband is a Vietnam veteran that's dying from Agent Orange. Let me have the fight, and I will fight it if they ever try and take his benefits. What is due him. They can boot you out and say, well, I'm not going to take care of you, or I won't give you your meds, but they're not going to take his money from him, or they're going to have to deal with me. Oh, hell no.
Judy, I have one comment to help you out with that. 3 days ago, I had a vet come in to the dispensary, and he was the very first veteran to get a doctor's recommendation from the VA that he could use medical marijuana, and he's retired and everything now. But so they are trying to do that now and open that door up.
Thank you, Jackie. You're doing a wonderful job. My question is for you. The water you'll be using, how will you recycle that? Where will the leftover go? The second question is, will all your employees be required to have a medical marijuana card to work there?
That's a good question. I'm going to actually ask somebody from the audience, one of the cultivators here, Brent Berman, to answer the first part of your question. He has a very sophisticated system. Not saying I can't answer it. I think he might shed a little light to it. To answer your second question, as far as human relations goes, public, hiring, I'm not going to discriminate against somebody that wants to work that doesn't smoke marijuana, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if they did.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Like Jason said, my name is Brent Berman. First, I want to thank everybody up here that's participated, all the citizens that have showed up. It's really nice to be in a city that's embracing this. It's a breath of fresh air. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've been pushed out of a lot of cities trying to get this plant into the people's hands that need it the most. So, getting to the question about the water, working closely with MSA Consulting out of Rancho Mirage as our development consulting firm to deal with that issue. Our particular development has an intelligent watering system that actually there are probes that will be placed throughout the crops to maximize efficiency and minimize waste. In fact, the little bit of wastewater that we will be collecting, runoff, will actually be collected in tanks, and we're looking at ways of either filtrating that water and reusing and recycling that water, or treating that water and being able to use it either on our landscaping or allowing it to be dumped back into the water treatment plants. But they'll all definitely have to be told what we have in the high nitrated water, because it will be fertilizers and things in that water. So as long as the water department knows what they're getting delivered to, they know how to treat it so that it can be treatable and be put back into gray water uses like landscaping and things like that around town. So I do know that all the cultivators are having to work closely because of the federal water restrictions of dumping this high nitrated water into our sewer system is not going to be allowed. Putting it into the into the water table and dumping it down, into the dirt is not going to be allowed. So they are addressing those issues about the water consumption and the high nitrated water runoff that we all will have. Not only the greenhouse growers like myself, but all of the greenhouse and indoor growers combined will have to deal with this issue. So we are addressing it.
Very good.
Mr. Asselson, Jason, could you give us a quick overview of the scope of your project? You seem to imply that it was a little bit smaller perhaps than some of the others that are planned in terms of size and number of employees.
Sure. Our project is a two-phase project. Phase one is going to begin construction in probably the next 30 days. We're building out an 1,800 square foot existing building. It'll be rather small. It will have 41,000 watt lamps and will produce about 80 pounds of cannabis every 60 days. Phase two should begin construction sometime in late 2016, early 2017, and that will be 22,000 square feet of light deprivation greenhouse that will produce upwards of 5,000 pounds of cannabis a year.
And employees, number of employees?
Joji, how many employees do you think we'll have?
Oh, at least a dozen coming out of the gate.
Probably 12 to 15 full-time employees and probably 20 to 30 part-time employees.
Thank you.
You're after this one.
Yes, my question was also about the water. You're getting it from Mission Springs Water District, or are there going to be wells like the Sentinel has? And I'm concerned about the treatment of it. I'm glad that question was asked. Also, are you going to have some kind of Spanish-speaking outreach to the community, because there's no one here that speaks Spanish?
It's on our agenda next time, Rob.
As far as the water goes, we are going to have domestic water line provided to us from the local city water department as of now. We've looked into doing wells, but as of right now, the path of least resistance to get going and to start generating revenue, not only for our company, but for the city as well, is a domestic water line to start with.
We'll add to our agenda, reaching out to the Hispanic community, adding some individuals that can translate for us.
I just want to say that you're doing a great job. It's a wonderful beautification project. It's like way more comprehensive than what I first thought when I walked in here. I want to talk about PTSD and veterans, because I am a veteran. That the Army, the military, deemed that we all are crazy enough to automatically qualify for 10% PTSD the moment our boots hit the ground off the plane. So I just want to get that across, that all veterans suffer from PTSD. It is real. With that being said, some veterans are losing their healthcare benefits or whatnot. And the thing is, it's THC. And we still want the cannabisoids, I believe it's called, that the cancer patients receive. You know, we want to know if one of your weed growing factories or weed houses, dispensaries, I don't know what the exact terminology is, if you could kind of concentrate in that for veterans and give us a discount, because when we take our cannabis, we don't have the risk of losing our VA benefits, you know, and that's real calming to, you know, the blood, you know, that we do have. I also want to talk about the social economic relief of actually maybe, I don't know, you know, this is down the road, but if we're talking health initiatives, maybe we should bring in the fact that we need to start allowing more drug courts to be in California. And so non-lethal felons, they won't go in, you know, for having weed for, you know, maybe like a pound of weed. They're not in there for like 10 years now. And, you know, for the social and economic, you know, relief and what they can do for the community as far as like the bottom line when it comes to, you know, what we're trying to get across here, you know, we could benefit from that. I also wanted to know if one of your weed houses could possibly have a website or information for private cultivation. So people won't be setting their houses on fire and different things like that. That's important information to get to and to have, just bottom line. Also, with this healthy initiative, with health of persons and there comes health of families, and where are the career service centers for the citizens here in the city as far as being trained for solar and wind, so we can have jobs in Desert Hot Springs, and also being trained in cultivation so we can receive the proper certification so we can work in weed houses. And also, I'm a veteran and I work as a security guard at the library, so I would also like to vouch for a security guard being present for a certain amount of weed being produced. Maybe you need a gate guard for that. Just saying, just throwing it out there.
I'm going to answer a couple of your questions. When it comes to employment, the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce is right there, and she's going to be running some job fairs here pretty soon. So make sure you get her card. Yeah, I was going to point out the COD partners with the Palm Springs Unified School District. Palm Springs Unified School District has pathways in their high school. Our high school has a REAL Academy, which stands for Renewable Energy, something. It's energy stuff. And from there, you can actually go to COD, College of the Desert, and they have a renewable academy also that you can further your education with. So there's opportunities there. Within our community, we have a vocational training program called Smooth Transitions. It's looking at culinary arts and horticulture programs, and they're very interested in meeting with the cultivators to start putting together some curriculum on what the cultivators need to give certificates to individuals to be able to be employed. So there's lots of opportunities. We as a city council and myself and our Healthy Cities initiatives are looking at all these options right now. Just give us some time as the ball gets rolling. We'll make sure it happens.
Thank you. Just one last thing. Since we're talking about both, I just want to point out that I like my weed growing outside too, so that's nice.
I think
Just to,
he's doing his job
discuss
interview right
about
now.
the training. We've got, well, I'm Dan Osborne with Phonetics, that's up there right now. We've got I work directly with Pineapple Express. We have a 170,000 square foot facility we're building out. Our first building is going to be starting, plants are going to be in it in about 2 months. And so what I've done for my employees is I've created my own training program where they get certified in cloning, and then they get certified in bugs and mildew detection, and they're certified in several different areas. And once they have these certifications, then they start working on their master grower certification. Our master growers, we're going to be bringing in probably 20, 25 master growers. The starting pay that we pay our master growers is $75,000 a year plus bonuses. My partner and I, we just he was here today, and we even did a little house hunting because we've got 3 of our master growers that are going to be starting with us pretty soon, and they're going to be buying houses, and when everybody's trained correctly, it could be a very good job to have.
Hi, my name is Karen Katie. I'm with the Desert Empire Realty.
I was a real estate agent in the house. Change cars.
My question's for Jason. When it's all said and done, where does all this weed go? What do you do with it? It's all packaged up and ready?
Hopefully, the guy that's going to buy all my weed in the beginning is sitting right in front of you.
Oh, okay.
But no, how it's going to be sold is, when you're producing cannabis on a large scale, where you're producing thousands of pounds of cannabis a year, there's only a couple options that you have. You can either have a sophisticated sales team that are going to go out to different areas and wholesale this cannabis to licensed and legal dispensaries, or you're going to be able to the cannabis into oil at our facilities, and in return, provide this oil to large companies like G Pharma Labs, like Bang Chocolates, like Dixie Elixirs, people that are large-scale producers of products. So that's going to be our plan. And in the meantime, you know, not in the meantime, but when you're producing this at the same time, there's going to be, I think even G Pharma, maybe Adam might want to add to this a little bit, but there's going to be facilities here in Desert Hot Springs, for instance, like if I want to produce my own product line, instead of having to go out and spend multi-million dollars on these facilities, I can work with a company like G Pharma and we can give them and do like a licensing agreement and produce our products together.
In November of this year, there's going to be a legalization initiative on the ballot. If it passes, which odds are it's going to, there's going to be a whole huge new market opening up for people who want to use it for non-medical uses. So let me assure you, all the marijuana grown here will have no problem finding markets.
I want to add something. Our city council in 2014, I know you got a lot of questions, just hold on a second. 2014 on the ballot measure itself put, if it is legalized for recreational use, we will still tax it at the same amount. So we were being very proactive on that. What they've done in Colorado, and this is only because I know our city manager just took a tour. It's the same as any dispensary if you're doing it for medical reasons. You walk in, you have your product, you take it home, and you do it recreationally at home. We have not even moved into the realm of being able to do it in bars and hotels yet. That might be the future. We don't know at this point. That'll be something that'll be publicly discussed if our ordinances are changed. But it's the same as if you drink alcohol. You do it in a place where it's legal to do it. If it becomes recreational, you'll do it in a place where it's legal to do it, your home setting. If you see somebody walking down the street smoking marijuana, they're doing it illegally, call the police department, have them stop. I don't want my kids walking around them doing it in the open. If I want to do it for recreational purposes, I'll do it in my private home, in my own private setting.
I've got a couple of questions. One, have you, like say on 100,000 or 100,000 square foot grow, have you done the research on what kind of acre footage of water that's going to use in a year?
Our facility, which is Seed to Soul Farms, is 3 phases, each phase consisting of a 10,000 square foot processing facility, 70,000 square foot greenhouse. We estimate right now that our greenhouses are going to use somewhere between 75 and 100,000 gallons of water a month. In comparison to 1 million gallons a day, which is used by the golf courses around here, it pales in comparison. And I don't think the golf courses are generating nearly the revenue that these are going to generate for you.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. My other question is, are these going to be restricted to, not using chemicals, RMOs and stuff like that? And if so, who's going to be watching them?
As far as the fertilizers and things like that go, we have a list, not only with the fertilizers, but also our pesticides, fungicides, all of those types of things. We have a list that will be provided to us from the state that will give us our guidelines of what exactly we can use. Because there are a lot of things out there that are put on crops that we eat today, that if you knew what was being put on those plants, you wouldn't eat the vegetables that are coming off those plants.
Who's going to be looking at that and what you're using?
The state that passed legislation last year to regulate license and tax is actually setting up that right now. So we will actually be regulated through the state. There'll be a department that comes out and literally checks us on a weekly, monthly. I'm not sure what the basis is going to be, but to give you an idea, in Colorado, they literally walk in and they swab the walls, the plants, everywhere, and test for chemicals, anything that's not on the list. And in fact, to give you an idea, at the last Cannabis Cup Awards that they had, more than half of the people that put products in to be part of this contest were literally denied access to being able to participate because they didn't pass the test. All the products that are going to be produced, whether it be flour, concentrate, or any other product that gets produced that has either THC or CBD in it, very soon is going to have to run through a distribution center, which is also going to have to be tested before it even gets to the hand of the consumer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There was a couple of I'm Bruce Hutchison from Green Thumb Pharmaceuticals, and there was a couple of questions about what kind of chemicals are being used to do the grow for an agricultural product. There is a website. It's called GROWMORE, Grow More. And Grow More is a 100-year company that does organic fertilizer that's licensed in all 50 states. And to kind of give you an idea of what happens when the chemicals, whatever you want to call them, go through the system and it is filtered, you can take that water, drink it, and it won't hurt you. We are the most advanced, probably the most technically savvy industry about that, because we all know one thing: it's being done for medical purposes and for human consumption. And I want to let everybody know, and a lot of people don't know this, and I can only speak for the cultivators, we have spent millions of dollars buying real estate in this community. And we're here to stay, but more importantly, we're partners with you, and without you, we wouldn't be here. And I really want you to know that Dan at Clinetics and everybody here, we're here for one reason. We're going to put a product that's going to help veterans. We're going to help to put out a product for cancer. The cultivators work with the city council and everything every day. And there's so much happening, but I don't think what everybody understands. We work with the Chamber of Commerce, we work with the city council, and every dollar that we spend in taxes is going into the community, and we are donating millions of dollars to help this community. And so we have gone through so much regulation. The state of California passed overwhelming new legislation that we have to comply with. And what you're going to see in the industrial sector of Desert Hot Springs is probably one of the most beautiful communities that anyone has ever seen.
Just to add, I live off of Little Morongo, and I drive from Dillon all the way up to above Mission Lakes, and there's nothing there. And Mission Lakes Marketplace is there, but there's really nothing there. I am looking forward to actually having a stretch of land where I can run, where I can ride my bike, where it's safe, because it's going to be the most protected area in town. Like, it's going to be a safe place to be, right? Here. Okay.
Any more questions?
Oh.
I just wanted to say, my name is Bray McLeod. I specialize in stormwater protection. I work a lot with our ports in LA. They're gonna have no issues because you should see the fines that passed July 7th. You should see these fines. It's 10,000 per gallon of anything that goes off your property. So if you think that they're not gonna keep the water clean, they are. Otherwise, they're gonna be paying millions of dollars. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
I just have a question. Mr. Alsasser said that he has to employ skilled workers. And the city manager, or was it Scott, that said we have to employ 20 to 40% of locals, did I hear?
20%. We're requiring 20% be local hire.
The city is requiring.
Yes.
Uh,
That's why we got to move into training quickly.
Well, suppose I tell you that a lot of master growers are already starting to move in. There's a lot of skilled workers coming in from the outside. We can't stop this. I mean, skill, to what point does the skill reach? And we don't have that here. We'll get it. We'll get it. It's not going to happen.
I think what Jason meant by skilled labor is that they need to be trained. Every one of us is looking forward to hiring people here locally, because to be quite honest, most of the growers that are coming in from San Diego all the way to Santa Barbara, the people that we're talking to that we work with currently are like, no, we're not moving to Desert Hot Springs. No, we're not going to go work in the desert. Because they're currently residing in other cities that are hundreds of miles away from here. And because we're moving, they don't want to follow us. When he means skilled, they just mean to be trained. Our facility, we're going to start with our first phase somewhere probably between 15 and 25 entry-level positions, which means you need to know nothing about marijuana, the marijuana industry, cultivation, or even agriculture to get a job with us. You just have to be willing to show up on time, get trained, and do the work that needs to get done, and be a positive tax-paying citizen in this city.
So it's 8:20. We're going to go, Mary Jane, your hand up. We're going to come back to Rick, and then one more question right there, and then we're going to just open it up. You guys can mingle and ask any more questions you have, because I think we can go on. Mary Jane has a question.
Just a quick question. I just want to thank, as a teacher for over 20 years, I think this is wonderful, Jackie, Scott, all our guest speakers, for training us teachers so we could have, when's our next educational workshop on this? Because I think it's all about teaching people, and I'm very happy that we had this. When's the next one we're going to be doing?
Stay posted.
Are we planning?
Stay posted. There'll be more coming in the future.
Thank you, because I think this educational, and then to address the question to that young man, at the College of the Desert, we offer a GI Bill that could also supplement, and we also do solar, sun, and wind training at COD. I'll speak to you afterwards. Thank you.
I have a question for anyone on the panel who can answer it. We have this great opportunity with growing medical grade marijuana, which is way different from just ordinary street grade marijuana. And I'm wondering, do we have a quality control or anyone who assays the marijuana that we sell outside of Desert Hot Springs to maintain medical grade marijuana?
I'm going to set this up and let the professionals answer the question. So I wanted to educate myself when I became mayor. I really needed to go out and see some grows and some dispensaries in other cities. One of our larger developers invited us to Los Angeles City. They were very influential on putting the legal dispensaries and a legal grow there. They told us they're growing 20 different strains there. 20 different strains. The biggest one, which is 1 million square feet, he's growing 30 different strains and looking to grow strains. And all different, whatever the strain exactly means, but it's different potency. So I'm going to let these guys in the technical, but I just didn't realize that. I thought you put the leaf off, rolled it up, and smoked it. I didn't know you could do that.
Okay, as far as the marijuana strains go, you can think about marijuana a lot like wine. Everybody that drinks wine has a certain wine that they like, a certain taste, a certain flavor, a certain aroma, a certain effect. Marijuana is exactly the same. Between the terpenes, the CBD, and the THC combinations, every single plant, every single strain has a little bit different reaction. You have indicas that are a much more heavy, pain-killing, dominant effect, as opposed to sativas, which is more of an upbeat, lifting, creative. It doesn't make you sleepy, whereas the indicas do. As far as making sure that the quality stays consistent, again, the state has already put legislation in place that we will have to test every single thing that leaves our facility before it can reach the consumer's hands, whether it be a flower, a bud, concentrate, an edible, a product of any kind that contains any THC or CBD or combination of both will have to be lab tested and pass the test before it can then continue on down the line to the retail dispensaries and eventually to the end user, the consumer. Absolutely. If it doesn't pass the lab test, it goes in the loss category, and nobody's in the business of losing money. So,
and just to add a little bit on the labs, I guess there's one lab in Southern California right now, in Orange County. Is there multiple? I think the closest one someone was telling me was Orange County for us. If that's true, what I'm trying to make the point is that there's going to be so much growth here that could be another fallout business that could happen here as a laboratory, which would then produce jobs.
Some of us large growers, we have to take it into our own hands. And so we have a laboratory that we're opening up. In our facility, we're going to be producing about when it's fully developed, about 10,000 pounds a month. And so all of it will be going through our laboratory and tested before it goes out of our premises.
I would also just suggest that you go to the website called Weed Maps, and you can see all the different strains, and a lot of them have the testing potency. So you can get information if you're just curious to look around. A lot of information is on the website.
I just want to make this comment about strains. I have never heard such nonsense in my life. You go to one dispensary and there's White Widow over there, and you go to another dispensary, they have White Widow, and it looks totally different. Everything is totally different. This strain is just bizarre. The only thing that matters is lab testing. Lab testing is 100% essential, and when you get it, it says it's got 12% THC, 2% CBDs, no pesticides, this kind of stuff. That is what it means. You know, somebody says, oh, I've been using White Widow and I just haven't, give me a break. The fact of the matter is, you talk about medical grade and recreational grade, they're all the same. And the bottom line as far as I have always been concerned is that any pot is better than no pot, right?
But they got cool names.
My name is Karen, I'm just a patient, caregiver.
You're not just a patient.
Yeah, I was wondering about the extensive background check, like what are you guys accepting and what you're not accepting as far as being hired as an employee?
Our current dispensaries have to have all their employees' background checked by our police department, and then we're working on a new ordinance to actually have them wear badges. I don't think we've gotten there yet. It's been talked about. But each employer, Andrew and Nicole back there, every time they hire a new employee, they have to send them through a background check. Do you know the extent of the background checks? No felony convictions within 7 years. And then I'm not sure on the cultivators, are we requiring that as well? It's the same background checks that are being required. Bruce?
The state of California and its new regulations that passed and it's going to go into effect February 1st of 2018 says that you cannot have any felonies in your background.
So
no felonies in your background.
Because we have a lobbyist in Sacramento, and we just met with her. And the state, in its last, before they dismissed for the Christmas holiday, passed an ordinance, passed legislation, AB Bill 266, which changed the Passenger Care Act, and AB 243, and it says that, because there was no lobbying effort, that says that everybody on a state license, which hasn't come into effect yet, has to have no felonies at all, or they are automatically rejected. And that cannot be superseded by any municipality.
I believe that's the
So
licensee.
I'm gonna close with this.
It's an employee and a
I'm gonna let
license.
you all-
Anybody that works for a collective.
I'm gonna let you all have a conversation with whoever you like to, but I'm gonna close with this. The City Desert Hot Springs is very serious about the growers and the dispensaries working within the state law. There are regulations that are going to change. We're gonna ask that they continue to comply within them. If they do not, I have probably 10 more people behind them wanting to do their business. So we're gonna make sure that we comply, because the last thing we ever wanna do is see the mayor walk away in handcuffs by the feds. So, with that said, enjoy your evening. Eagle, got the room for another half hour.
Hi, guys. Thank you for tuning in, viewers online. See you on Friday.